bring the mayor of board of an alderman for an emergency meeting tonight to consider an agreement with Rogers Group for street resurfacing. Since this is the only thing on the agenda, we don't need a motion to approve the agenda. And we will be hearing, I believe, from Mr. Smith.
Okay. David, if you want to, you're welcome.
I can I can start it off, Vice Mayor LaMarche. If you recall from our last meeting of the board, we discussed the issues with Rogers Group and some of the work that they had done on Andover Boulevard. We asked the board to, at that time, approve a contract with the second low bidder from our resurfacing project back in the spring, in case we weren't able to come to an agreement with Rogers Group on going out and fixing the issues that they had caused out on Andover Boulevard. After that, we had discussions with Rogers Group, and they have given us an offer for the board's consideration for tonight. That offer is to go in, and Mr. Smith can give the details probably more clearly than I can, but to go in and resurface all of Andover Boulevard, the entire length of Andover Boulevard, for a total cost estimate of $39,719. This same work was roughly $19,500 more with the second low bidder that we would have gone with at the last meeting. So with that, the proposed motion tonight would be to approve the proposal from Rogers Group to resurface Andover Boulevard at their contract unit prices and deduct $11,000 from the total cost. They did originally come in with a $49,000 bid, and then when we talked to them, they have lowered that cost by roughly $11,000 down to the prices that I just talked about. So with that, I'll be happy to try to answer any questions. Again, obviously Mr. Smith has been working on this quite a bit as well. He knows all the details about the bids and the work to be done, things like that. If the board has any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Any comments from the alderman?
I do have a question. The bid or the contract that Rogers Group has come back with, the $50,719, did we try to negotiate that at all? I thought we didn't, but I want to make sure I understand. We asked them for their best offer, and they gave us this, and it's either yes or no on this, or has it been negotiated in any way?
This was their best offer to us, so it's $50,719 minus $11,000 that they're willing to deduct from the price. Obviously, the road has a useful life left of it. We think approximately 3 years or so left. So what we would be doing is resurfacing that road a little earlier than we would otherwise have done. They are giving us a deduction, I think, for part of that. Obviously, though, we've gotten 12 years of life out of that road too. So with that, they are giving us that deduction of $11,000 to bring the price down to $39,719.
Understand. They have not admitted that they're at fault here.
I would say that their discussions are that they want us as a client to be happy with the job, but they also feel like, from their perspective, this is normal work that they do anywhere with the kind of tack coat that they used on this project.
Personally, I'm kind of torn between, one, expediting this so we can get this road resurfaced as quickly as possible and not waiting till spring. But at the same time, I felt that that us paying 80% and them paying 20% just didn't seem fair to me, and I was just wondering if there was any room for negotiation. Time is of the essence here, and therefore, I don't know that we can go back and negotiate, and I guess that's where I'm torn. Time, and is this a fair deal?
If the board is not satisfied with the current contract and the agreement that they've been willing to offer, you can certainly make another motion of something that you would be willing to accept, and we can go back to them on that. I've talked to them a few times, and I think Daryl's talked to them as well, and that's about the lowest price I think they've been willing to come out.
What they have told me is they cannot go any lower than this, or they will not go any lower than this. I would add in here, if we're looking at roughly 3 years of life left on the street, that's about 20% of the useful life left. By deducting $11,000 from their contracted prices, that's roughly 22% deduction. I just offer that for your clarification.
And what would it cost to pave the road in 3 years?
Well, it really depends on, it depends on a lot of factors, but in 3 years, we would be looking at the 51,000 or so. Really depends on fuel prices.
And Alderman, the if you decide not to go with this contract and the agreement that the Rogers Group is trying to give us, then certainly we can go and do the work with the second low bidder. But that second low bid's work is roughly $59,000, so we would be paying $20,000 more off the front end. Now, of course, we'd be deducting that from the amount we owe Rogers Group, and we'd probably have to go talk about that later on down the road. But certainly, there would be an extra cost right off the bat.
Yeah, and I think we'd probably be looking at a lawsuit too if we did that, because let me just throw in my thoughts on this. I wouldn't say that Rogers didn't do anything wrong, but I wouldn't say that he did do something wrong too. This is kind of normal, and having experience with paving roads and building stuff, I've experienced this same dilemma before. What they basically did is they got a little extra asphalt on the asphalt. I mean, it's not, they haven't damaged anything. Visually, some people are all torn up about it. I don't see it's that big a deal. But it looks like to me that they've proposed a more than fair and equitable solution to it that benefits everybody. Andover's going to get brand new paving 3 years early. We're going to get brand new paving 3 years early with a deduction for what it would have cost us, the time cost of money and whatnot in doing it early. They're giving what seems to be an equitable deduction here. They're basically doing it at cost for us. They're saying, okay, look, we don't want you guys to be unhappy. Here, we'll just do it at cost. Let's get everybody happy. Let's get this over with. I do have a question. It looks like they're bidding coming back with 1 1/4 inch as opposed to 1 1/2 inch, which is about 16% difference. Was the low bid for the paving from the other contractor of $59,000? Was that for 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 inch?
That was the same 1 1/4, same estimated quantity.
Okay, I think it's a heck of a deal. We ought to keep everybody happy and go for it.
I have one other question. I understand there's a different type of tack that can be used, and they are going to use a
They
different
have
tack?
stated that they would be using the trackless tack. That's a product that it apparently came out last year. TDOT now has a spec that was, well, I was told a month or so ago that it had been written about 8 or 9 months before that. We weren't aware of it at the time, but we are now, and going forward, all of our contracts will have specification that require the trackless tack.
What does that cost? You
I think the costs vary. I think we're probably looking at an additional $1.50 to $2 a gallon. In a regular resurfacing contract, it would just be a few extra $1,000. When I say a few, $7,000 or $8,000 on a $500,000 contract. That's, believe me, I'm happy to include that in the contract to avoid this situation coming up again. Now, there's no such thing as absolutely trackless tack.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. I'd like to see this stuff.
Yeah, I want to see it too.
I think it's probably less tracking tack.
Right. I'm told it's much less tracking tack.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Then Daryl, if we do agree on this, how soon could they repair it and fix it?
I got a response this afternoon that they would be able to do it before the end of the paving season. They just need approval to do it first before they will schedule it. That would be by mid-December. That sounds like a long ways away, but that's really just 5 or 6 weeks.
Well, if there's no more discussion, because of the cost and the possibility of maybe a lawsuit, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposal from the Rogers Group to resurface Andover Boulevard at their contract unit price and deduct $11,000 from the total cost.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Meeting is adjourned.
We'll let them know tomorrow morning, and we'll get back with you if we